Hello. Today I am going to be doing a micro paper, a micro A-level paper, not AS, not year 12. There's going to be a mixture of year 12, year 13 concepts. Again, this is Edexcel, going through some Edexcel past papers, May 2019, pretty recent paper, and obviously microeconomics, markets and market failure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through section A. I'm going to explain the reasoning behind all the answers that I give and also why some of the other answers are incorrect. I hope this is useful. You can follow along, and if you want to leave a comment, ask questions, just let me know. I'm happy to respond. So, section A, as always, you have 25 minutes. You're advised to spend 25 minutes on this section. Now, you can spend up to a half hour, that's fine, but 25 minutes is probably ideal. And as a result, that's what I'm going to do. You must put a line through the boxes, use the data to support your answers where relevant. That's really important. Okay, you may annotate and include diagrams in your answers. Henry Ford designed his first moving assembly line in 1913 and revolutionized the car production process of the Ford Model T. This assembly line at the first Ford factory became the benchmark for mass production methods around the world. The benefits of specialization and division of labor are mostly associated with, okay, so mostly associated with, and well, that's Adam Smith. Okay, so Adam Smith published a book called The Wealth of Nations, in which he describes a pin factory and how you could improve like the production in the pin factory through specialization and division of labor. And that is what obviously the second question asks us in relation to car production. Okay, so explain one advantage of the division of labor in car production. Well, one advantage is specialization of workers. Okay, so obviously it's asking about car production, so I need to make it specific to car production. So I might say, for example, a worker may focus on attaching the wheels to a car, which improves their skill and productivity, because they're just focused on one job. They only have one job which they need to do, adding the chairs to the car, or the wheels, sorry, to the car. And after a while, people who do that job will become slowly more and more skilled at doing that job, which means they'll become more productive, which means they'll improve output or productivity, maybe the production levels as well. And yeah, see, I've made it specific to the car production. That's what they've asked. Division of labor, why that's been beneficial. Okay. Question 2. The consensus that diesel emissions are bad for health has led to many cities planning to ban diesel vehicles from their centres. The mayors of Paris, Mexico City, Madrid, and Athens have said they intend to ban these vehicles by 2025. Annotate the diagram to show the change in consumer surplus in the market for diesel vehicles following the change in demand caused by the proposed 2025 ban in some city centres. Now, with this question, what we want to focus on, immediately what I think about is if they've got a ban on diesel vehicles, then that's going to reduce the supply of diesel vehicles available in the market. But the question doesn't ask about supply, because if they put a ban, then that's going to influence supply. What they ask about is following the change in demand. All right, so if they put a ban, annotate the diagram to show the change in consumer surplus in the market for diesel vehicles following the change in demand caused by the proposed 2025 ban in some city centres. So we're concerned about demand. What I believe this to be the case, and I'm sure this is the case, is that demand will shift inwards as a result. So now, previously we had an equilibrium point at P and Q. Now we have it at P1, Q1. Now, my initial equilibrium point, my initial consumer surplus is the bit below the demand curve, the area below the demand curve, but above the equilibrium price. So my initial equilibrium is this red triangle here. Initial equilibrium. Okay, now remember I said that the consumer surplus is, well, the consumer surplus is defined as the difference between what you are willing and able to pay and what you actually pay. So if you pay less than what you are willing to pay, then there is consumer surplus, which is why it's the difference between this price that you actually pay and the price that you are willing to pay, the demand curve there. Now, the new consumer surplus, I need to change back to that blue color, which I believe is that. Okay, so if it intersects there, the new consumer surplus, after they introduced the ban on these vehicles, I'm just going to find a good color, is this. Again, always below the demand curve and above the equilibrium price. So that is the new consumer surplus, and that is the answer to that question. A ban on diesel vehicles in city centers will reduce the demand for diesel fuel. This is because, okay, let's go back to that. Consumers are irrational. No, consumers are irrational, but that's not the reason why. Consumers expect the price of diesel to rise. No, there's no expectation about the price associated with that. The goods are complements and the goods are substitutes. Well, if it's a substitute, it means that you use it for something else. And, or sorry, that's wrong. If it's a substitute, it means that the good that you are buying, there is a similar good which could be used for the same purpose. So this is not the case. The answer is C. And the reason why, it's because if you buy a diesel vehicle, then you need petrol or you need diesel fuel in order to actually put into your car for it to run. If you don't have that, those things are bought together, hence they are complements. And if you don't have diesel vehicles, then you don't need as much diesel fuel. Demand. Okay, demand, define the term demand. Ooh, apologies about that. Just zoom out a bit. Okay, the term demand is the amount that a consumer is willing and able to buy at a given price. The key point being that you may be willing to do it, but you may not be able to afford to do it, and therefore you may not be able to actually buy that product. So you need to be willing and able to buy the product. And actually that an amount that a consumer is willing to buy at a given price of a good or service. We just add that in. Okay, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Now TV all charge $7.99 per month for streaming. Very similar film and television services. The most likely cross-price elasticity of demand for close substitutes is, okay, so XED. That is the percentage change in quantity demanded for any good that we could label as A, divided by the percentage change in price for any good which is labeled as B. It doesn't matter what A or B is, you can have X or Z, whatever you want. Now, if you have complements, and if you have substitutes, there's an intuition which will always help you to remember whether the value is going to represent a substitute or a complement. So if we're talking about complements, if there is a percentage increase in the price, imagine that this figure is an increase in price of whatever good B is, and you usually buy them together, that means that the demand for this product is going to go down. There's a decrease in demand. And if there is a negative value here, but a positive value here, then this means that this is going to be a negative value. A negative number times a positive number ends up with a negative number. Okay, now if I'm considering substitutes, if there is an increase in the price of whatever good B is, let's say there's an increase in the price of the PlayStation 5, then there's going to be an increase in demand for Xboxes. Now, I know that's not always the case. There'll be some people out there who love one or the other and they'll only buy one or the other. But imagine that you're indifferent between the two. If there's an increase in the price of PlayStations, then you're not going to buy them anymore and you're going to buy instead the Xbox. And so a positive number times a positive number is a substitute. So that's what I mean here, positive, negative. And so therefore, I know that if they are close substitutes, we're getting as close to 0 as possible, which means that the answer is C, plus 0.1, because these options are for complements. Okay. In 2016, the average cinema ticket price in the UK was £7.41, and there were 19.1 million ticket sales. The price elasticity of demand was estimated to be negative 0.5. Calculate the new total revenue if prices were raised by 3% in 2017 to £7.63 if everything else remained unchanged. You are advised to show your working. All right, first thing I always do, write down formula. PED is percentage change in QD divided by percentage change in price. And then what I like to do is fill in what I know. So I know PED is minus 0.5. I don't know what the percentage change in QD is, but I do know that the percentage change in price is 3%. So the next thing that I need to do is make percentage change in quantity demand the subject of the formula, which involves multiplying by 3%, okay, or multiplying by 3 in this case. So percentage change in quantity demand is going to be 3 multiplied by negative 0.5. 3 times 0.5, that's half of 0.5, so it's, sorry, half of 3, which is minus 1.5. So the percentage change in quantity demanded is minus 1.5. So if I want to actually figure out what the change in quantity demanded is, I would take the 19.1 million ticket sales and I would multiply it by 0.085. That tells me what a 1.5% decrease is. So 19.1 million times by 0.985, which gives me 18.8135. Okay, now remember that this is in millions, so you need to adjust. So 18.8135 is the new quantity demanded, and I know that the new price is £7.63. So to calculate revenue, you do quantity times by sales price. So times 7.63 gives me in millions 143 calculate the new thing. I'm going to go for 5 million. Okay, it came out in my calculators 143.547, and I'm just going to go to 2 decimal places. It doesn't give me a specification about what I should put, so I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, that was question 3. Okay, so question 4. So this is the penultimate question. In 2016, the average energy bill per household was £1,070 per year, excluding VAT, and indirect tax charged at 5%. The amount of VAT paid per year from energy bills by an average household in 2016 was, okay, so this is the total bill, 1,070, and I know that VAT was charged at 5%. VAT is an indirect tax, Indirect taxes are taxes on the price of a good or taxes where the burden can be passed on to someone else. Now, 1070 times by 0.05, that is the equivalent of 5%. You can also do 5 over 100. So that would give me 1070 multiplied by 0.055%, £53.50. And that is my answer. Okay, now with VAT and indirect taxes, this says on the diagram below, annotate the effect of a rise in VAT on the market for household energy use. So a rise in VAT tax ultimately is paid by the supplier, the firm, but it can be passed on to the individual in the form of higher prices. VAT is a charge on the price. And so actually what we find is that you might consider, oh, actually it's going to be like a linear, it's going to be parallel, sorry, to the original supply curve, like so, S1, but that is not the case. Okay, so actually this is wrong and we need to get rid of that. What it actually is something that looks like so. It should be, I'm going to just actually get rid of that line. It should be a linear supply curve, but the gradient is increase. The gradient is, well, the gradient's constant, but it's not parallel the supply curve. So this is the effect that I want to show on my supply curve. We've got a fall in supply and we have an increase in price. So some people won't be able to afford to have their heating on for as much as they previously did, or they may not be able to use their washing machine or whatever use energy. And so the supply decreases, quantity of energy per household decreases, and the price increases. So there's a kind of rationing function of the price mechanism taking effect. Define the term indirect tax. Okay, an indirect tax is a tax on the price of a good and one where the burden of the tax can be passed on. What do I mean when I say the burden of the tax can be passed on? What I mean is that VAT, an example of an indirect tax, can be found on things like soft drinks, for example, like a can of Coke. So if you go to buy a can of Coke and you're with a friend of yours and they end up purchasing the can of Coke for you, technically they are paying the tax for you. So you have passed on the burden of paying that tax to your friend. Whereas income tax, you cannot actually ask someone to pay the tax for you. It comes directly out of your salary, and therefore that is a direct tax, one where the burden cannot be passed on to someone else. All right, let's move on. Okay, so question 5, this is the last question. 5 marks in total. We've got 1 mark, 3 mark, and I assume a 1 mark. It must be a 1 mark question. Oh, I was wrong. Apologies. Okay, so average weekly pocket money for children aged under 10 years. In 2015, it was £7, 2017, £8 and 75 pence. In the UK, Freddo is a popular choice. So it's a popular chocolate snack bought by children who are under 10 years old. Freddo's income elasticity of demand is estimated to be minus 0.1. Calculate the percentage change in quantity demanded for Freddo's between 2015 and 2017, ceteris paribus. Right, the first thing that I understand from this is that this is an inferior good. And the reason why is because inferior goods have a negative YED. Negative YED, income elasticity of demand. What that means is that as your income falls, you will buy more of that product, and as your income rises, you will buy less of it. So goods that are inferior products tend to be things like own branded supermarket products that in a recession like in COVID or in the 2008 financial crisis, you find that they will have a huge increase in quantity demanded as people lose their jobs. Okay, so calculate the percentage change in quantity demanded for Freddos between 2015 and 2017 ceteris paribus. So again, write out my formula, percentage change in QD divided by percentage change in income. What do I know? I know that YED is minus 0.1. It's asking me to calculate the percentage change in quantity demand, so I do not know that. And I can calculate the percentage change in income. So percentage change is new minus old over old times 100. Okay, so in this case, the new value is £8.75. The old value is £7. Okay, so if I take that away, that's £1.75 divided by £7 times 100. So if I put that into my calculator, 1.75 divided by 7 equals 0.25 times 100. So it's a 25% change in income. And that's the income. Imagine this is your income, the pocket money. So again, to make percentage change in quantity demand the subject of the formula, we need to multiply. So I need to do minus 0.1 times 25. If I do that, I will get minus 2.5. And that is the percentage. There we go, minus 2.5. All right, the last question. Explain one reason why the income elasticity of demand is significant to the producer of Freddos. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting the formula in because that's just what I like to do. And then I'm going to say that because the YED is negative minus 0.1, this means Freddos are an inferior good therefore, as incomes rise, quantity demanded will fall. So why is it significant to the producer Freddos? This is significant as if the economy goes through a boom period, fewer Freddos will be bought because the quantity demanded will fall. Okay, now that's all of section A. So total for section A, 20 marks. And yeah, we've done all the questions, a mixture of calculation questions, a mixture of definition, diagram, annotations. Hopefully you find this useful. And if you have any questions or any points that you want to clarify, please let me know. I'm very happy to answer any questions. Yeah, good luck with everything. And I will put some more videos up of me going through some section A's and then later on some section B's and some section C's as well. So the videos will be coming thick and fast. Keep watching, and thanks very much. Thank you. Bye.